The biggest stories on the South Coast from the WBSM Newsroom. This is WBSM News.
A fire in New Bedford apartment located on Reynolds Street displaced tenants early Thursday morning. New Bedford Fire Department responded to the building at 4:40 a.m., and upon further investigation, it was determined that a material explosion is what caused the fire. Officials said drying oil-based paintbrushes and rags can create heat when mixed with oxygen. The building was severely damaged, but all tenants were evacuated. A hit-and-run crash that occurred in Fall River have police looking for the suspect. According to police, a 17-year-old male was injured after being hit by a vehicle Wednesday night. At approximately 8:30 p.m., units responded to the intersection of Aetna Street and Stafford Road. The vehicle, described as a black SUV, had been allegedly turning north onto Stafford Road from Aetna Street when it allegedly struck the victim on a scooter and fled the area. The teenager was transported to Rhode Island Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A hate incident is under investigation at Sandwich Middle School. Officials say a penciled swastika, along with language termed racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic, was reported on Wednesday. District and school officials say that they are taking the matter seriously and treat what they term bias-motivated incidents into a teachable moment for students. The school will also work with the Anti-Defamation League, which will assist with peer training advisors to teach students how to recognize and deal with hate. The October unemployment rate in Massachusetts was 2.8%. That's up 0.2% from the September rate of 2.6%, according to the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. Last month's jobless rate was 3.9% on the national level. The price of a gallon of home heating oil in Massachusetts continues on a downward trend. The State Department of Energy Resources says the current statewide average is $4.09. That's 7 cents less than a week ago and $1.79 lower than at this time last year. A pedestrian was struck and killed around 5:15 Friday morning on Route 24 in Fall River. The woman was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the pickup truck that hit the victim is a 44-year-old Fall River man. State police are still investigating the cause of the accident. And Barnstable County Commissioners are looking forward to working with the new superintendent of the Cape Cod National Seashore, Jennifer Flynn, on significant concerns. Topmost among these concerns is the water supply, which remains limited for Outer Cape communities as the need for additional affordable housing increases. In sports, the Boston Bruins are hosting the Montreal Canadiens today. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Weather forecast, it is currently raining in New Bedford. Temperatures are at 57 degrees. And the rain is actually starting to clear up now outside the studio. It's going to be a little rainy today with some wind. Temperatures reaching 62 degrees. Tonight's forecast, 33 degrees, clear but much colder. And tomorrow's forecast, 52 degrees and mostly sunny. I'm Adam Bass, WBSM News. Stay up to date with New Bedford's news talk station, WBSM, and get breaking news alerts and podcasts with the WBSM app.
Back to Brian's Beat. Join the show by calling 508-996-0500. New Bedford's news talk station, 1420 WBSM.
Charlie Brown, now Charlie Brown.
I can't believe it. She must think I'm the most stupid person alive.
Come on, Charlie Brown. I'll hold the ball and you kick it.
Hold it? Ha! You'll pull it away and I'll land flat on my back and kill myself.
But Charlie Brown, it's Thanksgiving.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, one of the greatest traditions we have is the Thanksgiving Day football game. And the biggest, most important tradition of all is the kicking off of the football.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Come on, Charlie Brown. It's a big honor for you.
A big honor. Welcome back to Brian's Beat, Hour 2 of the program. And I want to thank Adam because, you know, without realizing it, he had given the unemployment numbers that the state released, I believe, on Friday. 2.8% is what the number is down to. And, you know, I can kind of understand it. Except for one thing. And maybe you can help me out with this. Massachusetts had 5,979 people file a first-time unemployment claim the prior week. 5,979. So apparently, what happened is a lot of people got jobs during the month of October. Go figure. A lot of people got jobs in October, and somehow we get into November and poof, they've lost those jobs. 508-996-0500. Hello, welcome to the program. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
I am. What's going on with you?
Not much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Are you going to the Tuesday thing?
To the Tuesday
listener,
thing.
Yeah, the Tuesday thing. The little host versus listener gathering.
The listener appreciation. I'm sorry. I have a prior engagement that day, so I will not be there Tuesday over at Knuckleheads.
Yeah.
I don't want to get beaten up anyway.
Yeah. I'm planning on going. We'll see how it works out.
Great. It should be an excellent event. It's
Knuckleheads good food. Knuckleheads has fantastic food anyway. So
yeah.
I'll go there just for the food. Never mind just to meet Brian. Jesus.
Well, no, unfortunately, this is one that I'm not going to be able to make.
That's all right. So I didn't catch what your prior topic was prior to the news. So if you want to fill me in.
So we have to. Okay. Well, we had two of them actually. One, the idea of allowing non-citizens to vote in city elections. That's one of them, and the other one is.
Wait a minute. No, I'll just stop you right there.
Okay.
I need to know who even brought that one up.
You mean on the show? I brought it up.
Oh! I thought maybe this was like some.
It is. I didn't pull it out my. You know what? The city of Boston is actually working on this as we speak, and there is a bill in the legislature that would codify it, because if the city of Boston passes it, then it has to go to the legislature to get passed. But if the legislature passes it first, then you can more or less bypass.
So from what I understand, from what I gathered, I'm trying to just come up with like a reasoning, like their side of the argument would be, they're affected by that. They pay the taxes and they pay. They send their kids to the schools. Is that their argument for it?
Pay taxes. They work. They have legal status. Those kind of things. What would be the advantage of ever becoming a citizen then? If we give them the right to vote, what is the advantage of them becoming a citizen? Why become a citizen? What is the advantage to becoming a citizen?
To vote, to literally elect our own leaders. That's one of the biggest advantages of becoming a citizen.
Sure, I guess if that's a way of looking at it, yeah.
Because it's literally codified in our Constitution that we are a representative democracy, a representative republic, where we elect the leaders from within ourselves, right? We're not obviously a monarchy or anything else. We are self-governed. And the way you self-govern is by electing of your own citizens. So the biggest advantage of becoming a citizen, and one of the proudest moments, and I'm born here, but my grandfather wasn't. One of the proudest moments when you become a citizen is you can finally say, I can't wait to vote. When you take that away, what the hell is the point of becoming a citizen? Because now,
I think that part is very truthful, and also a reason why many people don't want to become a citizen, because once you become a citizen, at least in this country, Once you become a citizen, now you are taxed globally. And who wants that?
Tax globally, as in.
So, in other words, if I go to Canada, Mexico, Istanbul, the United States is still going to tax me on my earnings outside of the country. So why become a citizen under that law?
Well, that's true. I mean, nobody wants to pay taxes. Let's just face it.
I think people don't want to pay what they don't need to pay.
Right. Well, I think even the most liberal person out there, they don't enjoy paying taxes, just like I don't enjoy paying my electric bill. But, when the lights don't come on, kind of makes my day a little harder. So when, nobody looks, wow, I can't wait till my electric bill comes in. Nobody likes to pay taxes. It's just a necessity of life. We get services from the government. It's just to what extent do you want those services? What do you want the government to do in your life? And what don't you want the government to do in your life? Where should the line of private and public be? So, if you're over in Istanbul and you're paying American taxes, well, you know what? You're still using the services, because if anything ever happened to you in Istanbul, you could probably use the American court system. You could probably you obviously are protected by the U.S. military, U.S. State Department, stuff like that. So, I mean, there are things that you do need. But I understand what you're saying. Nobody likes to pay taxes. Nobody enjoys it. Even the most liberal
quite
person.
Frankly, there are many U.S. citizens that are stuck in foreign jails that don't get the military or our government protecting them. But just to let you know, if you like to check these things out, there is a bill in the Senate, which is S415.
Yep.
It would allow municipalities to grant voting rights in municipal elections to non-citizens who are here legally. So it's already out there.
Whoever votes, that's absolutely insane to me. Whoever votes for that should be primaried, and whoever votes for that, if I could, I would give max contributions, monetary contributions to every opponent, because at no point should any non-citizen be given the right to vote. Because, again, like I said, it takes away one of the biggest perks that if you go down the Fall River and you see the people being sworn in as American citizens, you see the glow in their face and the shining of their eyes when they become citizens. And the first thing they do is they want to cast that first ballot. And it just baffles my mind.
I hear you, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program today. Yep. City of Boston. And I'm looking at this from a New Bedford point of view. 13.1% of the people eligible to vote went out to vote. Eligible. 13.1%. Any thoughts on folks that are living in the city of New Bedford legally? So in other words, they have resident status. Should they be granted? Should the New Bedford City Council, and I'm not saying that they would, but I'm throwing it out there. If they're thinking about it in Boston, and by the way, this would not be the only place that allows legal residents to vote. Good idea for the city of New Bedford. Bad idea for the city of New Bedford. Love your thoughts on that. 508-996-0500. Tomorrow morning, you might hear a lot of noise. If you are in the city of New Bedford, if you're anywhere near the Whales Tooth parking lot, so that would mean the downtown area, that would mean the Hicks Logan area, that would also mean that Purchase Street area that goes from downtown to the near north. If you're in that particular area, you might hear a lot of noise tomorrow. The MBTA is conducting an emergency evacuation training. It will start around 10 in the morning, but the setup and stuff like that gets underway as early as about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. The MBTA is going to do a number of these types of tests. In fact, they've already done a couple already, but this one tomorrow is around the Wales Tooth parking lot. And I'm thinking to myself, Patriots aren't playing tomorrow. If the weather's halfway decent, I might want to just go over there and take a look to see what they're doing. Because one thing's for sure, they might as well get these tests done right now. So if and when they are ready, they can finally start SouthCoast Rail. But I'm growing more skeptical of SouthCoast Rail. And here's another reason. Earlier this week, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, the MBTA came out with a new projection that it would cost $24 billion for repairs. Now, why do I bring this up? I mean, these repairs are supposed to be on the green line, blue line, red line, and orange line. But $24 billion is $24 billion. It's not in one bank account. So if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, what's to make you think that SouthCoast Rail is going to start even in June of next year? Remember, the original start date was fourth quarter this year. Well, we're halfway through the fourth quarter, and we already know that it has been pushed out until late spring, beginning of summer. And then my guess is it will be pushed out yet another day. But let's just wait to see. But tomorrow, you get to hear all the noise. They're planning some type of evacuation drill. Can only imagine what that's going to look like. 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program today. First thing that we talked about out of the chute, so to speak, was the fact that beginning December 1st, so less than 2 weeks from now, jail and prison inmates will be allowed to make free phone calls, will be allowed to do free videos, will be allowed to have free email. Guess who's going to pay? Go back on what a caller asked just a little while ago. The WBSM listener meet and greet is taking place over at Knuckleheads on Tuesday afternoon evening. Starts at 5 o'clock. So it's dark at 5 o'clock at this particular time. It's going to go from 5 to 8. There will be food, and a lot of the folks will be there. Unfortunately, I am not able to make it. I have a previous engagement that I, as they say, must attend. If you want some more information about this, I'm going to direct you to the WBSM app or to WBSM.com. Our quote of the day: hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. And I think most of us realize that. I mean, you're hoping that the city council doesn't go into a ruckus, but how much did that hope work out for you? You hope that Texas taxes come down. How well does that work for you? You know, your bum knee keeps on acting up and you hope that it stops. How well is that working out for you? 508-996-0500. This one story, I mean, there are a couple of stories from this week that are very upsetting. The one that happened toward the end of the week, this one dealing with allowing inmates to make free phone calls. It's free for them. It's free for them. But you know who's paying. The yous and me's are paying for this. Money's coming out of the administration and finance. They're setting up a fund. How do they set up a fund? Isn't that amazing? We pay these people to work in administration and finance so they can set up a fund so inmates don't have to worry about paying for these phone calls. Look, I'm fine with them making a phone call. I'm fine with them receiving phone calls. But that should be on their dime. There was a piece here that I was reading. You got to hear this. There's this guy by the name of William Ragland. William Ragland. I don't know him. He is the chairman of the African American Coalition Committee. It's a coalition of men incarcerated at MCI Norfolk focused on reforming the criminal legal system. Here's what he had to say. Given our low prison wages, our families are often left with the bill, deciding whether to put money on their loved ones' phone accounts or pay their rent, put gas in their cars, put food on the tables. This is all while in prison, jails, and their telecom vendors rake in the profits. And I'm not going to deny who's raking in the profits. But why does that mean that the yous and me's have to have our tax dollars go in that direction? I just don't get that. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't get it. And I'm tired of trying to figure it out. I really am. Let's go over to Studio 6 and 7/8. That's where Adam Bass has our latest update. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Brian. Here are some of the national stories we're following right now. Israeli police are investigating reports of sexual violence committed by Hamas militants during the October 7th attacks. Witnesses of the attacks in southern Israel tell police that women and girls caught by the militants were raped, tortured, and killed. The police superintendent told CNN that officers have collected over 60,000 video clips related to the attacks that include accounts of women being raped. He added investigators do not have first-hand testimony, so it's not clear if any rape victims survived. A Colorado judge is keeping Donald Trump on the state's 2024 presidential ballot. Jim Forbes has the latest.
An attempt was made to keep Trump off the ballot in Colorado because he, quote, engaged in insurrection, violating the 14th Amendment. The Colorado judge agreed that Trump was an insurrectionist, but ruled that the 14th Amendment does not apply to the president. The ruling is another victory for Trump after courts in Minnesota and Michigan also rejected similar efforts to disqualify him. Trump is expected to receive the GOP nomination in 2024. I'm Jim Forbes.
A woman convicted of killing a professional cyclist in Texas last year is being sentenced to 90 years in prison. The sentence was handed down Friday to 35-year-old Caitlin Armstrong for the death of 25-year-old Anna Mariah Wilson. Wilson was shot 3 times in Austin in May of 2022, moments after going on a date with Armstrong's on-again, off-again boyfriend. Armstrong used her sister's passport after the murder and traveled to Costa Rica, where she was found by law enforcement about a month later. The White House is accusing Elon Musk of repeating an anti-Semitic lie on his social media site X, formerly known as Twitter. This comes as Musk endorsed a post claiming the Jewish community were promoting hatreds against white people. A statement from the White House condemned what it called an abhorrent promotion of anti-Semitic and racist hate. This comes amid an increase of anti-Semitism in the U.S. as the war between Israel and Hamas continues. Georgia's former First Lady enters home hospice care. Liz Kennedy reports.
Former First Lady Rosalind Carter, wife of former President Jimmy Carter, is entering hospice care at her home in Plains. The Carter Center made the announcement Friday. The 96-year-old was diagnosed with dementia earlier this year. She will join her 99-year-old husband, who has been receiving hospice care at home since February. I'm Liz Kennedy.
And Kool and the Gang drummer George Funky Brown has died at the age of 74. The band paid tribute to Brown on Facebook Friday and called him the funkiest drummer the world has ever seen. Brown was also a member of the Songwriters Hall of Fame and co-wrote many of Kool and the Gang's biggest hits, including Celebration, Ladies' Night, and Jungle Boogie. In sports, the Bruins are facing off against the Montreal Canadiens today in Boston. Puck drops at 7 o'clock Eastern. Weather forecast right now, it is foggy in New Bedford. Temperatures currently 57 degrees. It's going to remain cool and rainy today with wind. Temperatures reaching 62 degrees. Tonight, that sky's going to clear out, but it's going to get much colder. Temperatures reaching 33 degrees. But tomorrow, temperatures are going to reach 52 degrees with mostly sunshine. I'm Adam Bass, WBSM News. Stay up to date with New Bedford's news talk station, WBSM, and get breaking news alerts and podcasts with the WBSM app.
Adam, you mentioned something in the news that caught my ear, so I would like for you to repeat it, please. It was the story dealing with rapes by Hamas in Gaza, or during, I guess, October
southern
7th.
Israel, on the southern border of Israel near Gaza. So the Israeli police are saying and are giving allegations that Hamas allegedly raped and tortured women and children who were involved in the October 7th attacks. Now, as stated here, we do not have firsthand testimony, so it's not clear if any of these victims survived or any evidence of that as well.
So there's no evidence. Try that again. I want to make sure I understand.
So they are making the claim that there were alleged rapes and tortures of Israeli women by Hamas militants in the southern Israeli border, so the areas of Ashkelon and around the area of the Gaza Strip.
So, but was there something in that story that there are 60,000 or 60?
Yes, the superintendent, Dudi Katz, told CNN that officers have collected 60,000 video clips related to the attack that includes accounts of women being raped. So they have the evidence here.
They have the evidence, but they don't know. And then follow what to say after that.
And then they said that the investigators do not have the firsthand testimony. So there's a bit of a conflict here. So they have the evidence of the tape, but they don't have the testimony of the victims.
And they don't have the testimony of the victims. And what is the follow-up to that?
So that is the follow-up. That's just the end of the story.
No, there was a little bit more at the end of that.
Yes. He added that investigators do not have firsthand testimony, so it's not clear if any rape victims survived.
You don't have testimony. So I know you're reading the story.
Yes.
No, if they survived. Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that.
So,
I do.
Same here. Always want to get the news accurate.
Well, you talk about something that has Swiss cheese in it. That story in and of itself does. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let us continue.
Back to Brian's Beat. Join the show by calling 508-996-0500. New Bedford's news talk station, 1420 WBSM.
Seatbelts, everyone! Please let this be a normal field trip. With a friend? No way!
Cruising on down Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good. Next thing that you know, you see it. Puss in my neighborhood, surfing on a sound wave, swinging through the stars. Take a left at Human Tempton, pick your second right past Mars on the magic school bus. Alligator nostril, climb on the magic school bus. Spank a plankton too. On our magic school bus. Drop the river of lava on magic school bus. Such a fine thing to do.
Welcome back. You know, somebody brought it to my attention, and every day that I'm following this particular war or what's going on in the Ukraine or what's about to end in the Ukraine, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The first casualty of war is the truth. Now, I'm not sitting here saying I know for sure, but you heard the story that Adam read. Earlier this week, woman friend and I are sitting down watching some of the reports that have come out dealing with the conflict in the Middle East. And there was this one story that came out on CBN, which I believe is the Christian Broadcasting Network, where this one book writer was stating all of the things that we know, or what he thought he knew. And that was that the Israelis went into the Al-Shir hospital and they found all kinds of weapons in the headquarters of Hamas. And I sat there and I looked, I said, wow, that's an awful lot of stuff. But as I'm looking at the pictures, I'm saying, but there's no proof that this is something that's in the hospital. Not saying that it wasn't. I'm just sitting there saying this to myself. Later on, another report came out from the Associated Press, and I looked at the timestamp on it. And the Associated Press report basically came out and said that there's no evidence proving that what the Israeli Defense Force had come up with actually happened. And I'm thinking to myself, under the premise that they're making this up, don't they at some particular time figure that folks, whether it's the Associated Press, Al Jazeera, you name your organization, that somebody is going to figure it out? Conversely, let's say that underneath, in the basement of the hospital, Hamas really did have a headquarter and were hiding all kinds of weapons. Don't they at some particular time figure out that somebody's going to get in there and figure it out? And I know neither side is 1-800 I'm the dummy. But I guess there are a lot of pawns, as in chess pieces, in all of this. And the yous and me's, I guess we get to play it. 508-996-0500. Interesting. Earlier this week, well, I guess any day is earlier this week, considering today is the last day of a given week. Bacon Hill lawmakers failed to come up with some kind of deal that would have taken care of the people intended to go into the state's emergency shelter system, that program that is already filled to the brim with people. Now, apparently, our great leaders on Beacon Hill were supposed to be working on a $2.8 billion spending plan before taking off on recess, basically home for the holidays. Well, Barry and I talked about this yesterday, and I fully believe that some of these lawmakers will be back up on Bacon Hill, carving out some type of deal. It may not be $2.8 billion, but what will happen, it will be in an informal session. And to the best of my knowledge, an informal session, you don't have to have a roll call vote. And so it's like lawmakers meeting stealthily in the dead of night and coming out at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. This is what we came up with. What a great deal. And then they go back home. You don't know who voted. So it's still in legislative limbo, let's call it. Legislative limbo on what exactly is going to happen with all of these people that are certainly living in homeless shelters like the Seaport Inn, like the Best Western, like the Bay Point, I believe it's called, in Dartmouth. And then what about all the others that are looking for a nice comfy bed to stay in? not one of these Beacon Hill lawmakers have come up with a plan to get rid of the law in the books, the 40-year-old law in the books that says that we will indeed shelter folks that come into the state or are already here. Not one person. So, again, our quote of the day is rather fitting. Hope is not a strategy. So it's going to take the yous and me's to come up with some type of referendum to change that law, to get rid of that law. It's not going to happen for the 2024 election. We're past that. So the best we can do is for 2026. What does that do to the shelter system? How much money, tax dollars, are going to end up funding it? Because your guess is as good as mine. But if you're hoping that somebody else is going to do it, that is not a strategy. Well, we might as well do it anyway. The quote of the day is, hope is not a strategy. Very fitting. Hope is not a strategy. And if you're hoping that Governor Healy is going to change her mind and just put veto on the bill that she actually signed into law on Thursday, forget it. Forget it. As she said in a statement, ensuring access to free phone calls is a meaningful step on the path of criminal justice reform. Huh? Is it really? Ensuring free phone calls is a meaningful step on the path of criminal justice reform? Can somebody explain that to me? I don't get it. I am 1-800. I'm the dummy. I don't get it. I don't get it. Statement released earlier this week from the governor. Guess when? After, of course, the signing. Written statement, so she's not coming out and actively stating it. Ensuring that individuals in state and county prisons can keep in contact with their loved ones is key to enhancing rehabilitation, reducing recidivism, and improving community safety. Really? I'm sorry. I don't see how allowing, look, these inmates were allowed phone calls before. Did that help or hinder recidivism? The only difference now is instead of the inmates having to pay for it, you get to pay for it.
As well, senor.
Thank you.
Hey, I was listening to a podcast. I didn't listen to the whole thing. But there's a man who worked at Raytheon. His name is Eric Hecker. And he claims, this is his claims, that the USA has perfected directed energy weapons that can cause earthquakes, and they're testing these things down in Antarctica, cause natural disasters. That's what he claims. And I wonder,
does it surprise you?
We have? No, not at all. Not at all. And anybody ever calls me a conspiracy theorist, I just tell them, okay, the government would not do that starter pack. Operation Mockingbird, Operation Paperclip, the Tuskegee experiment, Operation Northwoods, Fast and Furious. That's just a starter pack for you people. We're in some crazy times right now.
Well, you know, here's the thing, and I'm not trying to play it up or knock it down. Sad reality is we have a lot of smart people in this country. And if I can recall my quote of the day last week, it went something along the lines of stupid people can do bad things, but the really smart people do catastrophic things. And so it takes a smart person to try to figure out how to make earthquakes or tsunamis and things like that, But there's a place for it. There are folks that will pay a person, male, female, to do that kind of stuff.
Yes, and a lot of them are in power in our government. And now with the way that you can artificially intelligence and CGI, how can you believe videos anymore? The way they can be completely manipulated. I'm sure you've seen that commercial about that phone where if you take a picture and there's some raggedy dog in the corner, you can just tap your phone and the picture that you took will eliminate the dog.
Yeah. Oh, that's been out for a long time, but yes, I've seen it.
And what makes you not think that you can add a dog? Look, the dog was there munching on my tulips. It's your dog. Well, my dog died 3 years ago. He came back. No, he didn't. He just ran away. He came back. It's your dog, chowing on my garden.
So, taking what you have just brought up to another level, and I'm trying to be even on this. What's to say that Hamas or Israel aren't making up pictures of different things that are going on as far as the battle is?
It's all war propaganda. The Germans, right? They killed babies back in World War I. And then we had a girl testify that the Iraqis were pulling babies out of incubators during the Iraq war. It turned out to be a big lie. This is more of that garbage, man. And I don't want to lose freedom of speech in this country.
Sure, but you heard Adam's story.
Israel.
Adam's story, the Israeli Defense Force say that they have some 60,000 pictures of rapes.
Oh, yeah,
and they're not sure because they don't have any people coming forward to say that they actually got raped, so they're not sure if those women are still alive.
It's war propaganda. It's war propaganda. We're tied at the hip to that country. And they talk about foreign interference in election. If they were really legit about that, our government would go after AIPAC. You should have Cynthia McKinney on your show.
I've had Cynthia McKinney on other shows before. I don't think that Cynthia McKinney is the type that wants to come up this early on Brian's beat. I'll ask her.
She is a righteous woman. I don't agree with her on everything.
Oh, I don't agree with a lot of her politics.
But she is the type of politician that I have great respect for. She went after the truth, and she was demonized. Thrown out of Congress, all based on lies, because she just wanted to find out some basic things. And that's what happens. If you don't bow the knee to Israel, AIPAC will have you thrown out. And that's foreign interference. And then this guy, Mike Johnson, the first thing he does as Speaker, to the applause of the whole Congress, it was the very first thing that he brags about is to get a big funding bill for Israel.
Well, I mean, look, he said that right from the get-go, that's what he was going to do. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised either. I'm a little disgusted. The bottom line is this going to commit our troops? How much more money? What happens after all that money is gone?
You're going to see boots on the ground there, and we're going to head toward World War III. It's on its way, man. It's on its way. And unfortunately, the majority of the U.S. public are just like the walking dead. And anybody that tries to question things, that tries to bring some truth, gets ridiculed. The people that are trying to tell you folks the truth are the ones that get ridiculed and banned the most. That's the way it is, man. That's the bottom line.
I got you.
All right,
hey,
Thomas,
thanks.
You have a good weekend.
You
Later.
too. Happy Thanksgiving. Wow, what a way to end our show for today. There have been a lot of protests in this country, pro and con Israel, pro and con Palestinians and Hamas. Again, both sides get out there and protest your head off. Do it peacefully. There's no reason to go after cops, go after security forces. You've got the right to get out there and express yourself and to protest, peaceably assemble. That's what it says, peaceably assemble. So go out there and do it. Go out and have yourself a fantabulous Thanksgiving. It's right around the corner. To those that are going to the Dartmouth-Fairhaven football game, my money is on Dartmouth. Adios, amigo. Adam, have a great one.